Well, welcome back to another fun and wonderful video. Today we're going to be talking about the estimation or estimating, the estimation of sums and differences. So let's kind of break that apart to start, right? If we're talking about sums, we're talking about the answer to an addition problem. If we're talking about differences, we're talking about the answer to a subtraction problem. So those are the skills we know, right? We know how to add, we know how to subtract. Then layering in the new skill that we're putting in is this idea of estimating the sums and differences. And if we're estimating, we're thinking about that word about. We're thinking about. We kind of want to know, what would the answer be about? Like, about how much is it if I take 38,151 and I add 37,192? Like, about how much is my answer. And this is the idea that we can use an estimation to kind of give us an idea of what our answer should be. So then once we go do the math, we can compare our work and say, oh, like, is this close or is it not, right? So let's talk about that idea, estimation of sums and differences. Now, in order to do an estimation of sums and differences, the first thing that can come in very handy is you start with what's called a front end rounding. Sorry, that came out sloppy. Let me fix that. All right, so you're going to start with this idea that you do a front end round, or sometimes you'll hear front end estimation. You'll kind of hear both those words. So we're going to do front end, and I'll explain what that means, right? And then you note your operation. Remember, operations are the four things that we do in math, right? We either multiply, divide, add, or subtract. And since we know that this entire video is about estimating sums and differences, the reality is today the only thing we're really going to be thinking about is these. I wanted that in a different color. These two operations there, right? Adding and subtracting. And then we're going to go ahead and just solve. I like it when the third step is pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's put these three steps to practice, and I'll model them so they can make some more sense for you. Let's dive over here, and let's say we have like 218,542. We're going to take away 93,177. So we're estimating. So we're actually not solving this. We don't want the answer right now. We don't want to know the real answer. We want an estimation. We want to know about how much will this be. And again, we do this skill to kind of help us get an idea that when we go and do the real work, is our answer reasonable? Right? Does it make sense? Are my estimation is my estimation and my answer, like, are they similar? Are they close? Okay, so pop back here. If you remember, the front end rounding is the first step we're going to do. So we're going to do some front end estimation or front end rounding. You'll hear both those terms, so I'm going to try to use them both. And all that means is we're going to round, but when we think about those steps, like find your place, look next door, 4 or less, let it rest, 5 or more, add 1 more. In fact, I'm actually going to erase this because I can work on it right underneath. Well, our place is always the first number. That's what they mean by the front end. So find my place. I'm just going to find, in this case, the 100,000th place. It's the very first number that I see. That's what it means to front end estimate. So find my place, look next door, 4 or less. I'll let this rest. So 2 plus 0 is going to get me 2. I circled this because it turns into a 0. And so does everything else after it, right? So 218,542, I'm going to round to 200,000. Cool. Let's do that over here with this next one. Find my place, look next door, 4 or less, I'm letting it rest. So 0 plus 9 is 0. I circled this so it becomes a 0, and so does everything after it. So 0, 0, 0. And again, this time I rounded to the 10,000th place because it was the first digit I saw. That's the front end estimation. Okay, so we did that, front end rounding or front end estimation. Now we're going to note the operation. We're going to pay attention to, like, what's it asking me to do? Am I adding these numbers or am I subtracting? Well, let's go look. I see a subtraction symbol. Okay, all right, and then solve. Okay, let's go do that. Now to solve this, I'm just going to stack up. And notice what it means by solve is I'm literally solving the rounded numbers, which we'll see are a lot easier to work with, right? Because I'm dealing with a bunch of zeros. And zeros are pretty fun to work with. They take it easy on us, right? So let's get to work here and subtract this. So 0 minus 0 in the ones place, into my tens place, hundreds place, thousands place. Okay, in this case, I have 0 and I'm taking 9 away. Well, I can't do that, right? If I remember what's on top is what you have. So if I have $0, I can't take 9 away. So I'm going to regroup. Right, that idea, we're going to break one of these 100,000s down, and we're going to make this a 10. Now I got 10 minus 1. I guess I'll go back to the same color. 10 minus 9. That gets me 1. And then this 1 minus 0, really, right? This is like, there's nothing there. So it's like a 0. Gets me 1. So here's my estimation. When I take 218,554 and I subtract 93,177, well, my answer should be about, that's the key word we want, 110,000. It should be about that. And that's all estimating is. It's doing that work. We round it, we take our rounded numbers, we do the subtraction or the addition, and then we have a solution. And again, that solution is about. It's like, well, if we really did the math, like, does this make sense? So just to prove that, like, let's really do the math, right? So, which I mean by, instead of rounding, I'm really going to subtract 218,542. Sorry, I'm going to have to jump back and forth as I look at these numbers. And 93,177. Okay, I already forgot. 93,177. Okay, cool. And now I'm just going to really do the algorithm. Now, if you remember the estimation, right? Our estimation for this was our answer should be around or about 110,000. So let's find out. So I'm going to start at my ones place as always. I have 2. I'm going to take 7 away. I cannot do that. So let's break one of these 10s down, and we're going to break it into 10 ones. So now I have 12 ones over here. So 12 minus 7 ones is going to get me 5 ones. I have 3, and I'm going to take 7 away. So again, I can't do that because, again, what I have on top is what I have. So I got to break 100 down, making this 13. So 13 minus 7 is going to get me another. Oh, no, that'll give me 6. I almost thought that was a 5. I had to stop and think about that. That'll give me 6. Okay, 4 minus 1. I can do that because I have 4 and I'm taking 1 away. So that's going to get me 3. 8 minus 3. I can do that. It's going to give me 5. 1 minus 9. I cannot do that, right? I have 1. I'm taking 9 away. It doesn't work. So let's break this down and regroup. So that will make this an 11. So 11 minus 9 is 2. And 1 minus 0 is 1. And here's the real answer. And then I always ask myself, okay, well, man, they're pretty close. So my estimation tells me, it helps me understand that once I've done the real math, this makes sense. Had I finished this math problem and I had like 15,521, right? Let's say I got that answer and I looked at my estimation. I'm like, oh, these aren't even close. I must have done something wrong. And then maybe I realized, oh, I accidentally added them instead of subtracting, right? So then I go back and fix it. So that's the importance of estimation. So let's go back again to estimating some differences. Let's go back to those steps in what we're doing, and let's do another example problem. Let's take 54,832, and let's add 156,999. Okay, so one thing to note, I like writing them linear this way because it actually helps me with that first step of front end estimation. Because remember, that's step 1. We're going to get a front end estimation. So find my place, look next door, 4 or less, let this rest. 5 plus 0 is 5. I circled this to remind myself it turns into a 0. And so does everything else after it. So this rounds to about 50,000. And find my place, look next door. Remember, it's front end estimation. So I'm just taking the first number every time, right? Sometimes you do round to a specific place value, but not in this case, right? The directions don't tell us that. So always follow those directions. So find my place, look next door. This is 5 or more, so I'll add one more. So 1 plus 1 is 2. I circled this so it becomes a 0, and so does everything after it. So this rounds to about 200,000, okay? Next step, I'm going to note my operation. What's the math that we're doing here? And you'll see we're adding numbers. So I'm going to an addition sign in there. And then step 3, we're going to solve. So really, I got to stack these two numbers up by place value and add them together. I'm going to take my larger number. I'm going to put that one on the top because for me, that's just easier to line up my place values. And then the 50,000 goes right here. So everything's lined up where it belongs, and let's go. We have 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 0 is 0. See, this is why I love estimation. Look how quick this is. 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 5 is 5, and 2 plus 0 is 2. So again, here's my answer. When I take 54,832 and I add it to 156,999, if I want the estimation, my answer should be about 250,000. About. Okay, well, my answer should be about 250,000. Let's go solve this and see if that helps me in thinking about what's reasonable. So 54,832, and I'm adding 156,999. So 156,999. I know my estimation is about 250, so I'm going to put that over in the corner. 250,000, that's what our answer should be about. And now I'm just going to solve these. I'm going to actually do the math. I'm going to get the real answer, then not the estimation, but now the real answer. So let's put this, okay. Always start in your ones place. So 9 plus 2 would be 11, but you can only get one digit in a place value. So my ones place goes here, my tens place goes here. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 9, 10, and 18. 10 and 11. 10 and 11. And 2. So the real answer is 211,831, which again, that makes sense. They're pretty close, right? So my estimation definitely helped me out. So this is the whole idea and concept around estimating sums and differences, right? Really think about what those steps mean. When approached with this idea, always think about first doing that front end estimation or front end rounding, right? You're going to hear both terms. That's why I keep trying to use it, rounding or estimation. Then always note your operation. And again, in this case, we've only been talking sums or differences. So really, are we adding or subtracting? And we will estimate by multiplication division later, but for now, we're just going to do these two. And then really just solve, and you're good. So take that into account, practice it out, see how that helps. And as always, ask questions as you have them. And thanks for all of your wonderful work. We appreciate it. And we will see you next time.